See the participants joining. Welcome, welcome everyone. I'll give it a couple seconds.
We have like welcome music.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Jeff, nice to meet you. We almost shared last name.
Yeah, I saw that. People asked me.
Mine is from Holland.
Okay, mine's actually, well, it's actually Ukrainian descent originally, but that's not the name. They changed it.
Oh, wow.
So for everybody that's joining now, feel free to let us know, who you are, where you're from in the chat section while we allow some time for other attendees to get in here. We will be running on time though, don't worry. But I'm gonna give you a couple more seconds to hop in. Let us know in the chat section where you're from, who you are, say hello. Oh, I see Canada in the building, Trinidad. Of course, Jamaica's in the building. Oh, here we go. London. It's moving so fast now. Okay. More Jamaica, Barbados. Amazing. New Jersey, Guyana, Bahamas. All right. So welcome everyone to the TBR Lab launch. I am so excited that you have all chosen to spend a little bit of time with us today. If you were at TechBeach retreat last year in Jamaica, you might remember my face, but if it's the first time you're seeing me, my name is Donnelly Curtis, and I'll be guiding you through this session today, just gently guiding. We are running on a tight schedule, so I just want to remind all the speakers to be ready to go and ready to be queued up. I only have one housekeeping item. So we are running a Q&A session at the end of this launch. So if you have any questions, there's actually a Q&A box down below. So I'm gonna give everybody a chance to find it. I think it's this side, this side, this side. I'm in the reverse, so it's this side. So if everybody find the Q&A section, that's where you can put in your questions. And then we will answer them at the end. Well, Kyle and Kirk will answer them at the end. All right. See a good amount of people, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Before we start, I do wanna give a big shout out to our partners, the IDB and DMZ. Of course, without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And to open up our session today, our welcome remarks will be by Therese Turner-Jones, I'm sorry. Therese Turner-Jones has been the IDB's country representative for Jamaica since 2013. In 2017, her portfolio was expanded when she was promoted to General Manager of IDB's Country Department Caribbean Group. To share the Caribbean market overview and why we need multi-dimensional solutions, please welcome Therese Turner-Jones.
Thank you so much, Donnelly, and thank you everyone for being here. Especially, I want to welcome all the distinguished panelists, including my colleague Irene, who's on this panel, and Jeff and others. And we're really pleased to be partnering with DMZ and TechBeach to launch this lab today. And it's really quite significant. I want to say that we've come a long way. I want to congratulate Kirk Anthony and Kyle for having the insight for doing this now. I don't know which year they're in, but I mean, I remember my first one and I was like blown away at that event, and we've been partners ever since. So just to put it in perspective, why we're here, why we're collaborating with you, and why I think this is a milestone for the region. Just a couple of points just to get the ball rolling on today's launch. First of all, just the aspect of innovation and technology and bringing it to the Caribbean is a huge piece. I think we don't understand how important this is for our future, but also because of the current state of affairs that we're in. I mean, no one would have thought that a year ago, that Montego Bay event would be catapulted into a virtual event a year later. So a pandemic, which we absolutely have absolutely zero control over. And we thought that we were getting there towards the end, but now it seems like there's a reset in the pandemic. So I think even more so why an event like this is important. But what are some of the challenges in this region and why technology can help? 3 of the 4 countries involved in TechBeach Retreat Lab, namely the Bahamas, Barbados, Jamaica, are heavily dependent on tourism. And we know, just because all of us have been affected by the sudden stop in travel, that the tourism industry has been the most affected industry globally by this pandemic. So, we're expecting for these 3 countries, unfortunately, double-digit declines in GDP in 2020, and that's our stark reality. That's what we have to deal with. To put it in to put some of these numbers on the situation in the first half of the year, for example, the Jamaican economy contracted by about 10%. We're expecting about a 10% decline for the rest of the year. And what's so sad is that pre-pandemic, Jamaica was recording, increase in GDP every single quarter for the last 14 quarters. So that just gives you a sense of where we're going. In Barbados, the central bank released an estimate of GDP for the first 3 quarters of the year, registering a decline of 16% relative to the previous year. For the Bahamas, it's something like 15%, and it possibly could be worse. Trinidad and Tobago, the impact is obviously not from tourism mostly, but we know that given what was already happening in the oil and gas sector and the fact that Trinidad has really been cut off of travel because of some of the provisions they put in place to contain the pandemic, that their output is looking like something like a decline of about 6% this year, maybe even worse. So I think where do we go from here? What do we do? Getting the most out of the existing sectors is one way to strengthen the narrow bases of these economies. Diversifying the base into new sectors is another path. And these 2 paths can be complementary. Both paths require some regulatory reforms to improve competitiveness, but more than anything else, they require innovation in our view. Over the longer term, tourism-related sectors may be a high-growth sector. Eventual decarbonization of the global economy implies that the hydrocarbon sector, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, is in its current form, has an expiration date hanging over its head. Recent turbulence in hydrocarbon prices was simply a wake-up call for the need to plan for that expiration date. So the challenges are real and they are urgent. Notwithstanding COVID-19, there are now significant opportunities for technology businesses to provide digital services to those who previously did not embrace digitalization. Cutting-edge technology is essential in navigating the new normal and delivery of products and services. It'll also make businesses more efficient, cost-effective, productive, and profitable. The digital revolution promoted by TechBeach Retreat Lab is central to the innovation needed to confront the challenges. We applaud TBR Lab for the progress already made and look forward to the continuing strong collaboration between the IDB Group and TBR Lab partners. We commend the founders, I mentioned Kirk Anthony Hamilton and Kyle Maloney already, who share this vision for the region, for the Caribbean, and understand the needs of the technology businesses. They have been consistent in leveraging their networks to help provide access to global experts and markets for those who would ordinarily have been excluded from them. As you know, the bank works on the public side and on the private side. And I want to say technology is not, in this discussion, technology is not limited to the private sector. In fact, we see technology being adopted by the public sector as a real important way of creating that pathway to recovery. Imagine if all government services could be delivered over the internet and through digital means, how much more competitive our economies can be. We know that, for example, if we can reduce the time to do a transaction, whether it's in Jamaica, Bahamas, or Barbados, by not having to appear in person 1 or 2 or 3, sometimes 4 and 5 times to get one transaction done, how much more efficient that can be and how much more time and productivity we can be increasing and also freeing up for people in our society. What are we hoping to achieve through this collaboration with TBR Lab? Our partnership with TechBeach, we're hoping will provide regional technology entrepreneurs with access to world-class technology acceleration programs. Participants will benefit from insights from leading international technology professionals and industry leaders. Today's launch of TBR Lab serves to strengthen the regional innovation and technology ecosystem and to connect the Caribbean with other global innovation ecosystems. We're hoping it will also accelerate 200 tech-driven businesses with mentorship, technology services, networks, and connections to investors and capital. It will also train around 80 individuals from the corporate sector to undertake corporate innovation and connect 1,000 entrepreneurs, we hope, to a global community of technology experts. Tech businesses participating in the 3-year program will be drawn from Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and the Bahamas. And so on the occasion of this launch, the IDB is happy to extend best wishes to TechBeach Retreat, Inc., partners of the TBR Lab, and the technology startups who will benefit from the TBR Lab. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate our continued dedication and support to the development of the region as we work together to improve lives. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out to join us today and share. So our next 2 speakers, everyone should know their face by now, the men of the hour. They're going to share, of course, what TBR Lab is all about. So here joining us is Kirk Anthony Hamilton and Kyle Maloney.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Donnelly. And thank you, Therese, for the introduction and the show of support to us that you all have extended over the last few years. You know, when Kyle and I set out on this journey in 2016, some of you may have been there, but the way TechBeach started was just over 100 people gathered at a resort in Montego Bay in Jamaica for a conversation that I feel like, you know, now is miles in the background, but something that had never happened in Jamaica or the region up until that point. When we first spoke about TechBeach, the vision for Kyle and myself was really to be able to create an ecosystem that could power forward the kind of ideas that, you know, in all fairness, he and I as entrepreneurs focused on building and had friends and people around us who wanted to do the same. But no doubt, you know, doing this in the Caribbean was a challenge. And both Kyle and I had the experience of raising capital. Some of you may be familiar. Kyle raised a significant corporate venture round some years ago for a startup. But, you know, we saw challenges that we felt like wouldn't appear in more advanced startup markets. And we decided that we needed to focus on bringing together components of the ecosystem that at the time simply were missing. So the idea for TechBeach Retreat was born, and what we set out to do was invite the world's ecosystem to come and meet the Caribbean zone. Fast forward to 2020, and here we are not only launching this new product, but we're credited with something that we are very proud of. Anyone who steps into this ecosystem space, especially from an emerging market perspective, the first idea that you have is somehow, some way to be present. And from day one, they have been. I recall we had a meeting at the World Bank, a think tank, before TechBeach was even launched. And that was the concept that was put on the table. Everyone in the meeting said, if we're gonna do something in Jamaica, that was where the conversation was at. If we're gonna do something in Jamaica, it needs to attract Google. Over the years, we've managed to build out a community and an ecosystem that includes partners like Google, like Facebook, like LinkedIn, like SAP, like Twitter. You can see the path I'm going down. It would continue down the road. And the reality is, before we had started, this simply wasn't happening in the Caribbean. So over the last few years since 2016, we've really evolved and we've managed to develop a footprint that spreads across not just Jamaica, but also islands like Trinidad and Barbados and Bermuda, but also encompasses cities like New York, Toronto, San Francisco, and Miami. A big part of where our success has come from is that we've actually gone out and spread the vision, spread the word about Caribbean tech and entrepreneurship and innovation to the rest of the world by meeting them where they are. So how did we come about now to get into this stage with the IDB with TBR Lab? For the last few years within the TechBeach conference, we actually set out on a journey to host something that we were calling our hybrid accelerator, which really was a curriculum-driven program that was hosted alongside the conference, targeting startup entrepreneurs. We partnered with the IDB, the Caribbean Development Bank, the World Bank, and the Development Bank of Jamaica, as well as the government of Trinidad and Tobago on various iterations of this that saw entrepreneurs coming into the conference, participating in the big picture room of the conference, but then in the background, getting access to a, I would call it high performance series of courses led by, the people that were sitting on stage, right? So you'd have Jeff Pulver, the founder of Vonage, or a senior executive from Google or Facebook, walking them through how do you build a tech company? How do you scale? How do you focus on product design, right? And so now we're here. Almost any well-known startup in the Caribbean that you can think of, WePay, MD Link, Blue Dot Insights, EduFocal, they're all friends of ours, and they're all people that have known the vision from day one and always said to us, you know what, guys, this is a big missing link that is needed. All these companies have participated in the accelerators that we did alongside the conferences, and then we got here. Last year, we started a conversation with the IDB that said, we need to go bigger. We need to continue this beyond the 3 days that we host a conference for, and they said yes. And the entire concept was, we're gonna launch a program that is not only gonna cater to entrepreneurs, but it's also gonna cater to corporate entities and government, because we feel like you need a wholesome ecosystem approach. And one of the things that people have really appreciated about TechBeach over the years is, it's not just a room of techies not taken away from anybody. It's not just a bunch of software developers. It's not just digital marketers. It's not just CEOs, and it's not just government representatives, but it's all of them in one space, being able to connect in a very multidimensional manner towards positive outcomes. And so said, so done, here we are. I'm gonna allow my co-founder, Kyle, to share a bit more on the actual program. I told the story, he'll now dive into what we're offering.
All right, good job, Kirk. Chloe, can you cue the video? So the video just gave a snapshot of what are some of the top line goals for us with our program that we're about to launch. And so what essentially we're doing is bringing together the ecosystem that we've successfully built over the last 4 years with TechBeach, and now we're launching the next pillar of TechBeach. And so some people may think that this is a pandemic pivot. So in many conversations I've been hearing, oh, you guys have pivoted well, But fortunately for us, this has been something that's been years in the making. we began having, as Kirk mentioned, what we dubbed our hybrid accelerator program that targeted startups and corporates in TechBeach 3 years, well, now, 3 years ago. Yeah. And at that point in time, we were getting buy-in from each of the corporates and the startups, bringing together an ecosystem for them that they wouldn't normally have access to. In terms of for the startups, taking them through courses like raising capital, digital marketing. We had a partnership with Facebook and the Level Up team at that point in time. We also had teaching them in things in terms of scaling their business. And then in terms of the corporate side of things, we did things on digital transformation, e-commerce, and cybersecurity. And so now taking a lot of this curriculum that they would have experienced, and Irene coming in last year and seeing how interactive the conversation was with a lot of the startups and the corporates, asking the question, how can we expand what we're experiencing here for 3 days? And TBR Lab was born to do exactly that. Go after solving the problem of these sort of interactions, curriculum, and resources for 4 segments. The young professionals who want to upskill themselves and learn things within technology, SMEs, so small to medium-sized businesses that really are are grappling with right now e-commerce and how do I make my business e-commerce ready and selling online and shipping internationally and even shipping locally, the struggle. The corporates and their drive for digital transformation and asking themselves where do they play within the conversation of innovation as it relates to technology startups. And then the final piece that gets people excited generally being the technology enabled companies. These companies are the ones that we're expecting to scale regionally, possibly globally, and we're very well placed to catalyze their growth. And so that we begin seeing, as we said, we want to see 10 tech-enabled stars coming out from the program. And to make this happen, we partnered with the DMZ on our Tech Accelerator program that's really focused on them. And so today, what you're going to see is an understanding from a few different pieces of our stakeholders, a few members of our stakeholders, in terms of IDB, the DMZ, startups that would have been positively impacted, corporates that would have interacted with us. So you get a varied sort of perspective on the impact that we've been having to date and how excited each of them are about what is to come. And so that's a bit of the context there, and that's it, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I know we're learning so much right now, and there could be a lot of questions everyone might have about TBR Lab. So this is a good time to remind everybody that we will be using the Q&A box down. I'm going to get this right. This side, right here. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A box. If you can't find it, don't worry. You can drop your question in the chat section, and Kirk and Kyle will be back later on to answer some of your questions about the program. Great, I see somebody has already started to utilize it. Perfect. So we're just going to keep the program running, and we are very humbled to have our next guest with us, the Honorable Darrell Vaz. He is a long-standing government official in Jamaica known as a solid executor. When Darrell says it will be done, it gets done. He was appointed to the role of Minister of Science, Technology, Energy, and Mining after the island's recent election. Please welcome the Honorable Darrell Vaz.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure to represent the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ONMP, Prime Minister, and to participate in this year's launch of the TBR Lab by TechBeach Retreat, designed to accelerate the digital transformation in the Caribbean. I'm aware that TechBeach's program to transform the Caribbean involves 4 countries: Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and the Bahamas, covering a 2-year period and valued at $4 million US, with $1 million US seeding funding from the IDB lab. From this program, it is anticipated that there will be 250 tech startups accelerated, 10 tech startup stars generated, 250 executive leaders immersed, and 3,000 skilled professionals trained. Today's theme, A Vision for a Digital Caribbean, is timely and relevant as we battle the COVID-19 pandemic and, of course, its effects, while ensuring connectivity and engagement with our people. Despite our circumstances, I believe that this is a great time for an explosion of technology in the entire region, because as the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, puts it, the Caribbean offers the opportunity for a platform of thought leadership and a sandbox to experiment leapfrog technologies due to its size and potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the advancement and development of the region is hinged on the use and development of technology, which will aid our resilience, productivity, and sustainability. The launch of this lab is directly in tandem with other projects that have been launched in recent times to accelerate the digital agenda of the Caribbean. In July this year, the World Bank approved a regional Caribbean digital transformation project to build an inclusive digital economy. A total of 94 million US was approved for 4 Eastern Caribbean countries: Dominica 28 million, Grenada 8 million, St. Lucia 20 million, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 30 million, and the OECS Commission 8 million. Additionally, the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, is undertaking several key digital initiatives for 2020 to 2024 to assist in the digital transformation of the region. These include the continued implementation of the single ICT space work plan, resource mobilization and implementation of the COVID-19 action plan for CARICOM digital transformation, digital skills and CARICOM girls in ICT partnership. If we can harness the tremendous potential of technology, then our economies would dramatically improve. Service to our people in areas such as education, healthcare, business, and commerce would be efficient and seamless. This would make the Caribbean an even more appealing destination for investors and businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, our future survival, both as individual countries and the region, depends on our digital transformation today. I believe the best place to start is with government. All citizens must come into contact with some aspect of government, and as one of the single largest employer, collector of information, and national and regional representatives, we must be at the helm of the digital agenda. We must modernize the way we do business as governments. An answer to these states of affairs and important consideration to the digital Caribbean is digitization. Digitization of records improves efficiency and responsiveness of government, reducing time spent in lines or time spent accessing a service. Digitization of the public service brings citizens closer to the government and its services, making our citizens a part of the process, not to mention in this COVID pandemic. Another important consideration for the region is the issue of broadband. The rollout of broadband in the region has become one of the most important ICT issues in the Caribbean. As a region, we must build a robust broadband and technological infrastructure if we are to keep pace with the changing times. Broadband is an important component for the economic and social development of the Caribbean. The Caribbean Community, CARICOM, has indicated that CARICOM countries need to urgently decide on the national targets for broadband to communities, businesses, schools, and other users. Telephone operators need to be made aware of the requirements of the region and endeavor to satisfy these needs. Ladies and gentlemen, the Caribbean has the potential to become a technological hub. I believe that the time has come for us to develop our own Silicon Valley right here in the Caribbean, where we can develop our own ingenuities and capacities to drive the ICT prospects in the region. My commendations to TechBeach on the launch of this lab, and I hope you will achieve all your goals as you seek to transform the Caribbean with technology. I thank you very much, and again, good luck.
Thank you very much, Minister. We're gonna continue with the program, but I think the Minister set the tone for something that is very important in terms of highlighting some of the initiatives on the way in the region that really set the foundation for why we are excited about a program like this. If we weren't seeing certain levels of movement in the market, you know, what we are setting out to do would be impossible, not denying that, you know, we are a very nascent ecosystem. We're at the earliest stages. When Kyle and I talk to investors looking at coming into the market, we always let them know this is a frontier opportunity, an opportunity to get your foot in at the door. I am more than proud to introduce our next speaker, and I want to give some context to his participation. There are very few people in the world who have, first of all, operated at the level of CEO inside any large corporation with global reach. The next speaker, former CEO of Priceline.com, which is now Booking.com, which is a $70 billion market cap company traded on an international stock exchange. In addition to that, he's been involved in numerous startups, numerous organizations, but one that I think is most important beyond his executive level experience of looking at the world is his role as chairman of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, which covers 185 countries. So to put it into perspective, he has a lens on startup ecosystems all over the world, which is why we wanted him to participate today, because not only has he seen what it takes to grow a tech company from idea to massive success, but he also has a perspective, I believe, based on his overview of especially emerging markets, that is not the typical, you know, guy coming in from the outside and just saying, hey, this is how we do it, even though there are certain constraints that we have to be mindful of when you think of our region, or certain cultural elements that we have to be mindful of. So without further ado, Jeff, we're honored that you've taken the time and really appreciate it. It's your go.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me today. So, you know, to start, I actually wanted to, and I really appreciated the minister's comments on the importance of technology, on broadband, on 5G, on access to a tool set that levels the playing field for entrepreneurs across the Caribbean. It is so important. And here's why, because this is really why we're here today, and certainly why I am here. The entrepreneurship is so critically important to prosperous economies, to growing economies. Entrepreneurs are the innovators that create jobs. They literally create new industries sometimes. And they innovate in a cost-effective way that no government can, and that no big business can. We don't expect governments and big businesses to move at the lightning speed of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, we move that fast usually because we're hungry, right? When I was starting out, if we don't create value in the world, we don't eat. So you can bet we're pretty efficient at what we do. Entrepreneurs find problems, fix problems, take ownership of them. They work with government. We need you. They work with big corporates, but they're the innovators that spur the economy. So we need more entrepreneurs to be able to do what entrepreneurs do best, which is solve problems and make things better. Along those lines, because as Kirk said, I was in the travel business when we were building Priceline and Booking.com, our startups. We were working in every geography, finding people to work for us. But more importantly, in my current role as chairman of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, and in fact, I want to stop and mention that next week is Global Entrepreneurship Week, our signature event. And I see, and I thank you guys, there are Global Entrepreneurship Week, GEW events all across the Caribbean. We will actually have 35,000 events in 180 countries next week. So thank you all for celebrating entrepreneurship with us at our event. But here's what I learned spending time. And by the way, I work with many Caribbean entrepreneurs now, all across all the islands that I work with regularly and speak to regularly. And here's the thing, we need their ideas, we need their innovation. But the reason that this digital divide and this access to technology is so important is that there's this fundamental rule, and I'm going to be honest, I'm glad you said this. Sometimes Americans don't always get this. There can sometimes be a kind of egocentric view of the world, right? Because there's so many tech companies launched and built in the US that there are people that misinterpret that, that maybe that people in Silicon Valley, which by the way, I've never lived a day in my life in Silicon Valley, but that people there are smarter than the rest of us. And it is absolutely false. Here's the truth. Intelligence is spread equally across the entire human race. It doesn't matter what your gender is, what your race or ethnicity or nationality is. Intelligence is spread equally across all humans. Opportunity is not. Resources are not. So the reason that somebody where I live can start a tech company faster than you is not because they were smarter than you. It's because they had all the things that the minister listed and all the things that TBR Lab is bringing. So that's why I wanted to be with you guys here today. What you need to turn ideas into realities, to turn ideas into jobs, into new economies, into revenue for everybody, right? Tech will help us replace all the jobs and all the revenue that we're losing in tourism across the islands right now. We need, as an economy and as countries, we need to find a way in the near term and for the long term to replace and then later supplement the massive amount of our GDP that comes from tourism. Technology enables us to do that because we can create more and more online businesses that you don't have to be on the island for us to make money from. But we can't do that without resources. And when I say we, guys, I'm always talking from the perspective of the entrepreneur. Even though at Global Entrepreneurship Network, we meet with policymakers, I meet with presidents and prime ministers all over the world to get the policy part done. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. So when I say we, I'm talking about we, the innovators. We have ideas. We can fix problems on every island we live in. When I talk every week, when I'm talking to some entrepreneur on one of the islands who has an amazing idea for something that your island needs, that will create jobs, that will stimulate the economy, that will make things better for the people that live there, I hear the same story every time. Jeff, I have a great idea. I just don't know where to start, because they don't have broadband or 5G or training in many cases, or the technological tools they need to go launch these businesses. So there is nothing more important for us to be doing with our time right now, and thanking IDB and all the partners here, than supporting an effort like this. If we can provide the education, the training, and the access to technology that people who already have intelligence and passion in ideas, and believe me, there's no shortage of passion in the islands. I've had calls sometimes where I have to tell some of you, all right, calm down, let's, I guess, see that you're excited, but passion is what drives progress, right? So when you're passionate about your idea, you will make it happen. So if we combine that intelligence, the passion of the people in the islands, with the technology and training they need, then there's nothing that stops you guys. There's no reason that the next amazing company, even amazing global company, won't come from somebody. I'm looking at the participant list. and I'm looking at your comments in the chat that people are writing. One of those names that is scrolling by that I'm seeing, one of these days I will be saying, I remember that name from the day of the launch of the TBR Lab. You'll be the person, the entrepreneur, the innovator that launches an amazing company that goes global, changes the economies in the island and changes the world. Why do you need to believe that? Because that's how every company started. I was part of a company that does business now in 190 countries and is a $70 billion company. But you know what? It started on a table with a handful of people with no funding, but they had a good idea. And we had passion. The reason we were able to build ours is because we had the resources that you guys have been talking about today. So I don't want to take a lot more of your time now. I, again, am honored to be here with you guys. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being part of Global Entrepreneurship Week as well. But I just want to say in conclusion that this is a critically important effort for all of us, because as soon as we provide enabling technology to the people that are waiting to launch, I think you're going to see amazing companies being born across the islands that all these innovators are waiting to launch now. They just need the resources to do it. So congratulations, TBR Lab, on this launch, and thanks for allowing me to share a few minutes with you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I mean, that was like so inspiring. I got fired up. I don't know if everybody could see my face during the talk. I was like, yep, I'm with you on that. So I know a lot of people must be fired up because Jeff is saying passion drives progress. And I know we all believe that. That's why we are all here. And if anyone has questions, I just want to remind you one more time that the question box is below. I know we have a lot of questions just about the general launch and TBR Lab. If you want to get involved or whatever you need to know, please use the question box, because Kirk and Kyle will be answering your questions after this. So we're going to move right into our next talk. So our next speakers, they're actually our foundation partners. So big shout out to our partners again. Our next speakers are Irene Hoffman and Abdullah Snowbar. Irene Arias Hoffman is the CEO of IDV Lab, which mobilizes financing, knowledge, and connections to co-create experimental projects and support entrepreneurs with a potential for impact at great scale, benefiting populations that are vulnerable due to economic, social, or environmental factors. And Abdullah Snowbar is the executive director of the DMC, a leading accelerator and incubator that helps tech startups scale to world-class businesses. To date, the DMZ has accelerated 400 companies that have raised over $715 million and fostered 3,800 jobs. So first up, we have Irene Hoffman.
Thank you so much, Donnelly. And of course, thank you, Kyle and Kirk, for this great partnership. And Therese, thank you for that intro earlier. And also very honored to have heard the minister give that context and that regional context. And this is a great day for us, because we started this partnership now some years ago. Last year we were all together in Montego Bay and really seeing that energy and those connections and that place where things happen, where entrepreneurs and investors and corporates connect. I can definitely say that everything that Kyle summarized earlier is something that continues to grow. It is a part of it, and it is the reason we're here. I think TechBeach Retreat is a really powerful technology ecosystem. I think you guys have put together a great concept where you can connect people and organizations. You can really leverage technology and innovation with a purpose, and there are great companies like Blue Dot and so many others that are coming out of that are making a difference in people's lives, making a difference through the pandemic, big time. I mean, a lot of them have become much more relevant even now through the pandemic. I'm also really happy to share this space with Abdullah Snowbar. We had that fantastic conversation back then in Montego Bay, and connecting our partners throughout Latin America and the Caribbean with global ecosystems is something that we believe is very, very important to accelerate that growth, and DMZ is one of them. And I think connecting to many more Canadian partners and also other partners in other parts of the world is part of what will help the region leapfrog. So in particular, ITB Lab within the ITB group is there to experiment, is there to be, we are the largest investor among the multilaterals in venture capital. We're putting together an investment thesis now that will help us do more direct investments in startups as well. Traditionally, we've invested mostly through venture capital funds. So we will be looking more actively into investments in health tech, in edutech, in fintech, also in circular economy and in ag tech. And these are all sectors where the Caribbean is full of talent, full of good ideas. But we could not do it alone. We couldn't do it without everything else that our ecosystem partner here, TechBeach Retreat, is able to do on the ground. The importance of being here today and this launch is also because it ties in very well with what our new president of the ITB group, Mauricio Claver-Caron, shared with some Caribbean journalists recently at the virtual forum. And he spoke about the importance of creating opportunities through innovation, access to education, and access to capital financing for early stage companies and SMEs, and how digitization and connectivity and all this infrastructure and digital infrastructure has to come together. I think digital is here to stay. We need to make sure that it's inclusive. We need to make sure that it brings everybody along and that it helps regions like the Caribbean leapfrog. Finally, I think, just to highlight again why working here with the founders of TechBeach, with Kirk Anthony, a Jamaican entrepreneur who's amazing. I think your experience crafting partnership and connecting people is great. And Kyle also, from bringing the perspective from Trinidad and Tobago, and already together having expanded also to Bahamas and to Barbados, and hopefully creating more of a hub for other parts of the Caribbean. That's really what we're looking for. We want to increase the capacity of startups and corporates to work together. I think that is a great contribution that through this partnership we'll be able to do, because those anchor companies need the startups in order to continue to be relevant, and startups need those corporates to open up new markets. And I think making sure that interaction is easier and it's more successful, it's very, very important. And also, of course, the whole needs for skills and talent development, which is also incorporated into this great platform. So I want to encourage you all to come together to join this effort to support the solutions that are going to come out of this. So if you're an entrepreneur, can participate. If you're an investor, also look out, because some of the best companies in the world are going to come out of this platform. And thank you so much for all of you for being here today.
Thank you so much for being here. I love that digital is here to stay, and we need to ensure that it is inclusive. Somebody needs to tweet that. That was Irene Hoffman speaking. So our next speaker, I've introduced him already, so he can hop right on, is Mr. Abdullah Snowbar.
Thank you, Donnelly. Appreciate it. And Irene, that was amazing. And I do remember it felt like yesterday we were sitting together in Montego Bay chatting about this. And it's amazing to kind of see it all come together, of course, with the beautiful vision of both Kirk Anthony and Kyle. So it's an honor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abdullah Snowbar. I'm the executive director of the DMZ, a world-leading tech incubator and accelerator at Ryerson University. I'm also the CEO of DMZ Ventures, which is a global for-profit accelerator and the investment arm of the DMZ for seed stage startups. So I just want to thank you all for joining today. Personally, as the DMZ, we're very thrilled to officially launch this amazing partnership with TechBeach. TechBeach and the DMZ share similar values in many respects around driving tech transformation and being able to really enable innovation for startups organizations and governments, as it was just mentioned. So the opportunity to partner with an organization that, like TechBeach, was honestly a no-brainer for us. This is a collaboration that brings complementary strengths to the table with the combined efforts of TechBeach and the DMZ. The TBR Lab has the incredible potential to help tech startups hopefully maximize their impact on the digital economy, both locally and globally. As the minister mentioned earlier, it's a priority to do that. And we need to also ensure that the ecosystem fosters diversity and inclusion as it grows, and putting it at the core of what it does. So some of you may not be completely familiar with what we do at the DMZ. So let me just give you a bit of a flavor around it. So we're a world-leading technology accelerator for startups based in Toronto, Canada. We provide high-impact, high-intensity, and highly customized programs for the best and brightest founders in the world to validate, build, and scale their startups fast. We offer programs that help startups at various levels of growth, everywhere from entrepreneurs in the ideation stage to high growth companies. So I know it was mentioned, but to date we've actually incubated a little bit more than 400 startups. We've gone well beyond that number now, and we've created over 4,100 jobs. And to kind of look at today's date of November 12th, we're now at over $917 million in funding raised for our company. So it's been fantastic growth. And I know that this is the beauty of the vision that Kirk, Anthony, and Kyle brought to the table, that there is the ability to have very similar results in the Caribbean. So this is exciting. So we've partnered with TechBeach to help support this very mission of the TBR Lab. So given the DMZ's expertise in nurturing tech-based ventures and experience helping international partners establish and grow successful business support programs, in collaboration, of course, with TechBeach, the DMZ will provide on-the-ground support to startups at various stages of development. This will also give TechBeach startups in regions like Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and the Bahamas access to DMZ's entrepreneurial resources and the networks, while maintaining operations in the community through TechBeach. So this partnership will provide startups with the following benefits, and this is what's really exciting about extending this through. First, the development of a TBR Lab portal powered by DMZ with exclusive content library and Google Launchpad resources offered to the founders that are in the program. In addition, the perks are going to be provided by TechBeach in addition to the perks provided by TechBeach, we'll be able to provide access to DMZ startup perks, which include products and services valued at over $600,000 Canadian, including benefits from Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Stripe, HubSpot, Shopify, and so many more other really neat perks and benefits. We're going to be providing opportunities to access the startup capital needed to grow such startups as where maybe introductions to valuable investors and angel networks across the globe. We want to be able to provide an expanded network of incubators and accelerators connections so that we can also help with opening up doors for new platforms wherever the companies or the startups want to go. And finally, access to coaching. And the coaching is a key part in all this stuff. I think Jeff Hoffman spoke about this a little bit, but it's critical to be able to give the right resources. And a lot of that goes back to people that have been there and done that. And that's one of the areas that we want to be able to make sure that is being made available, is access to DMZ entrepreneurs and residents. So with TechBeach's existing connections and knowledge in the Caribbean tech market and DMZ's experience building successful startup programming, on behalf of partners, I'm confident that TBR Lab will be able to deliver the highest value to startups in the region and create a flourishing and inclusive future for this ecosystem. So, I got to say, on behalf of the DMZ team, all of us, we really look forward to working with the TechBeach community and partners to be able to equip startups with the resources needed to create long-term successes. And for as long as we're partnering, I know that the value is going to continue, multiplying and supporting those that have the most potential to grow and scale their operations. And I got to give one final shout out again to Kyle and Kirk Anthony for doing what they've done, for bringing this thing to life, for making it possible, obviously with all the partners that we have. You know, one of the things I continue to be grateful for is also that when I left Montego Bay, I was able to export some brilliant dance moves that continue to be leveraged in the Canadian marketplace here today. So I want to thank you all for that. And again, really happy to be part of this. I look forward to having this conversation again in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years time, and seeing how the value and the impact has been created and how we can actually replicate these kind of initiatives across many more countries. So thank you to what it will be a great starting initiative for many, many more.
Thank you so much, Abdullah, and thank you to Irene as well. One thing that I took away from both of your talks that I think is important for people to understand is when it comes to TechBeach, you know, we're a family. We're very focused on community. Everybody comes together in a meaningful way. One of the things that Kyle and I have focused on in terms of culture is no hierarchy, no boundaries. Everybody is just able to connect and strike meaningful relationships with each other. And I just wanted to drive home the importance of this partnership with the DMZ and, you know, where it was birthed, you know, beyond, you know, our relationship with the IDB, the DMZ is then the next big partner that is involved, right? So I was introduced to Abdullah by a now famous, semi-famous singer, Naomi Cowan, some years ago. I flew up to Toronto, went and checked out the DMZ. So this has been a long time coming. This is probably from about 2016 that we've been in this conversation. And there are a lot of notable Jamaicans who have always been eager to have the DMZ come and participate in our market, and by extension, obviously the Caribbean. An important note to make is that the DMZ as an entity was actually seeded by a Jamaican businessman living in Canada by the name of Raymond Chan. And so therefore, again, by extension, I just want to put into focus why we have decided on this accelerator as our partner amongst all the others in the world that we have access to and we've spoken to, etc. It really comes down to their love and their passion for the region, their affinity for the region. They literally got their start with an association to the region, so they hold it near and dear to their own culture, right? And so that was, without doubt, the most critical element for us was just finding family. We push, we tell them we want more, and they say, okay, yes, you can get those things. And it's been an amazing relationship so far, and we expect great things to come of the partnership. I'll turn it back over to you, Donnelly.
Thank you. And thank you again, Irene and Abdullah, for joining us. Okay, so we're gonna run into our testimonial section. So we have 4 people that are gonna share a testimonial with us. The first person is Mr. Femi Odunuga, Senior Vice President of MasterCard. He is a global Fortune 500 executive with a perspective on what's happening around the world. So here's Femi.
Hi, folks. Happy to be here. Can you guys hear me? Great. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'll keep this short, right? Just to avoid repeating what everyone else had said. So first, as an intro, my name is Femi Odunuga, SVP for Product and Innovation at MasterCard. I'm based out here in New York. Just looking out the window, it's one of those days where I wish I was actually on the beach, not out here in New York, but I guess we'll save that for another time. My role at MasterCard is essentially, our charter is simple, right? We focus on understanding emerging technologies and trends globally to uncover, where the opportunities are for commerce, for development, as well as for MasterCard as a whole. And then we also try to figure out where the new risks are coming, right, from the new technologies and trends we're seeing in the ecosystem. So the way my team works, we work essentially through 3 parts generally, right? So digital partnerships, globally been the primary one. So having conversations with innovators in the ecosystem to figure out what the pain points they're seeing are, how we can help them solve that with the assets we have in place. The other way we do that is through MasterCard Labs. So it's a global lab located in 4 or 5 cities. Right now, not really open because of COVID in most locations, but we have, I have a lab here in New York City, one in the Middle East in Dubai out there. We have one in Nairobi, focused specifically on financial inclusion. We have one in Dublin as well. So it's a lab where we essentially experiment with new technologies, de-risk, MasterCard from emerging risks and the likes. And then the third way we get our job done within my team is our stat path, right? Which essentially is an accelerator that admits startups, fintechs globally on a wave by wave basis. So we actually just admitted our latest 10 fintechs for the last wave, and it's a global organization represented from organizations or fintechs and startups all over the world. So hopefully we'll get a Caribbean representation soon, right? Anyway, just to get to the short answer on why I'm here as a testimonial. So I got the request from Kirk earlier to be a mentor and be part of the board, and it was an easy decision for me, right, to make for two reasons. And I've known TBR for about a year now. It's almost coming on a year since the last time we hung out and learned all those dance moves Abdullah was talking about. But there are two reasons, right? So one, on the business side. So coming into TBR, coming into the TechBeach retreat, it connected really well with us, right? If you think about the first thing I said about MasterCard, our core focus is, we know there are three ways: we can build, we can buy, or we can partner to get solutions in market. But we believe very strongly that to drive our focus around financial inclusion, which is bringing 1 billion people into the digital financial ecosystem over the next 5 years, we believe very strongly in partnerships. And we also believe in collaboration, right? And we know this problem will not be solved by fintechs. No slight on fintech, but neither will it be solved by, the incumbents in the market. And it's not a role that government is set up naturally to play. But we believe that the answer is kind of in the middle, where all these parties come together to co-create and define what the future would look like, right? I believe the best way to predict the future is to create it. So we believe very strongly that bringing those players together, we'll be able to create the future we all want. So, and that was present at the TechBeach retreat, right? In excess, right? So there are folks from government, from traditional companies, from fintech. So all that, gave me that sense of connection, that this is essentially aligned with how we do things as well, and made it easy for me to make that decision. And then on the personal side, I think there's a myth around work-life balance and work hard, play hard that no one tends to achieve. I know I've been trying for decades with my career, but I don't know how Kirk and Co managed to pull it off, right? Because it was one of those places where, there was a strong balance of making sure you connect as a community, as a family, making sure you have fun and enjoy your stay. But at the same time, there's that balance of business interaction and passion, zeal, innovation, ideas. And there's that hunger to collaborate and change the world. I could actually sense it, from literally everyone I spoke to at the place, right? So I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to what we'll do together. Looking forward to meeting a lot of people through this process, and hopefully we'll be able to do some good things together, bring in the power of MasterCard as a network, as a global organization, our lab, with ventures in the market that want to change the future. So thanks for having me. Back to you, Donnelly.
Yes, thank you for being here. Nice to see. I'm like, everybody that's speaking, I'm like, wait, we've all met Montego Bay for sure. Well, don't worry, you're not missing much in Jamaica. It's hurricane season, so you don't have to feel that bad being stuck in whatever weather it's going on.
Thanks for trying to make me feel good.
It right
it's
now.
not working though.
I have to make everybody feel a little bit better about being not on the beach here. So, okay, so our next actually right before our testimonial, this is we're getting really close to the Q&A section. So if you have a question, I'll tell you again, use the Q&A section down below to put in your questions so that Kirk and Kyle can answer them. All right, so our next testimonial is by Zachary Harding. He's often dubbed as the rainmaker or marketing guru. Zachary Harding is the group CEO of the SSL group. So off to you, Zach. Okay, we're having a little technical difficulty, just kidding. So we're actually gonna keep the show moving. We're gonna move on to Cadian Preston to do his testimonial, founder and CEO of Crib Shopper. He's also a past speaker and hybrid accelerator participant. So go ahead, Cadian, take it away.
Thank you, Donnelly. Hi, everyone. Just want to congratulate Kyle and Kirk. I know it's been a long time coming, and the team at IDB. I think this is a great initiative for the Caribbean to have an accelerator at this level. Abdullah and the team at DMZ, it's a great move. I believe that Kyle and Kirk have put together a strong ecosystem for the region. It was part of the reason where I met Zach, and we were able to do a deal probably a year later. So TechBeach was very instrumental in putting us together. And I'm very excited about that. And just to give you a little background, in 2018, we did TechStars, and TechStars is considered one of the top accelerators in the world. And my experience at TechBeach was on par with my experience at TechStars because of the ease of communication, the connections, the type of engagement that was happening in Montego Bay in 2019. The speeches, they weren't just a regular run of the mill, and it was focused on the growth of Caribbean and connecting the ecosystem in a way that hasn't been done before. And again, testimonial, one of the connections from the TechBeach last year resulted in a funding and a great partnership. And I'm sure Zach will speak to that. So, my hat's off to the TechBeach team, the TBR Labs. I'm excited. And in any way, shape, or form, I'd love to be able to help. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kadian. And I'll just put some things into the context again with Kadian's testimonial. So Kadian is a Jamaican-born entrepreneur based in Miami who is building out, the region's e-commerce platform. And Kadian and I have known each other for a few years. So pointing back to the idea that this is family. I just want to put in context when Kadian mentions TechStars about a program similar to what we're launching here today, right? A extensive program that features, some of the resources, learnings, etc., that we are about to step into, and happens over a period of time throughout the year. He's comparing that to a conference, right? He's saying that the experience he had in a 3-day conference was on par with a program that runs at a similar level, right, throughout the year, for a much longer period of time. So we're excited about that. We're excited about the kind of value that people find in our space. And I'm happy to introduce our last speaker to the conversation just before we enter into Q&A, right? Zachary Harding is someone who has been with Kyle and I pretty much from day one as well, right? He's seen the inner workings of TechBeach. He's seen the challenge to get, partners to see the vision in some instances. And he's seen how easy some have gotten it as well. He himself has led partnership for us through a number of organizations that he is tied to. And he's here today in his capacity as a CEO, group CEO of SSL. Zach, you're following on Kadian. The floor is yours.
Thank you much. Sorry for the slightly late join. I'm in the middle of another board meeting. Irene, it's fabulous to see you. How's everything? It's been some long time, and I'm happy to see Donnelly also online. And so Kadian probably said everything perfectly fine, and there's no need for me to talk. But on a serious note, the work that Kyle and Kirk have been doing with TechBeach has been absolutely game-changing for the Caribbean, right? And not everybody necessarily has the full appreciation for a lot of the deals that are behind the scenes. So yes, it's an event, it's a gathering of people, there's an exchange of information and knowledge, but the work continues after. Kadian's company, Carib Shop, learned about it at TechBeach. It was actually that same TechBeach that I met Irene and dropped her to the airport. But I learned about this company at that event, was intrigued. We kept communication, and to cut a long story short, we've made a decision to invest $1.4 million in the carb shop. And it's one of the deals right now that we're most excited about. Literally in the board meeting now, let me see if I can do this. And if you look carefully, you'll see carb shopper there as one of the deals that we're highlighting. So they're very much front and center in our thinking. And I just want to endorse TBR Lab and just say that, you know, the work also that IDB has been doing to help and support, which has been very, very, very powerful. And this is where it's at. This is it. This is the team. These are the minds that are going to help to shape and change the careers. I'm just very happy to be a part of this group.
So I feel like Zach got a little bit censored when he was saying the number. That number is US dollars 1.4 million that has been confirmed to be invested into Carib Shopper. And as he pointed to, the exchange happened, or the engagement,
Yes.
The meeting happened at TechBeach. Zach is a part of our global advisory board. He's been around us for a long time. He's like a big brother to myself and Kyle. And, you know, Zach, we really appreciate you. Kadian, you know, we really appreciate you as well. Donnelly, you know, just given time and such, I think we'll just dive into the Q&A. I've looked at the questions and I want to make sure that we're able to, you know, make the best use of time. So I just want to address a few things in whole, right? So today's launch is really for us to get the message out there and let people know that this is happening, and to onboard, you know, more partners. So we're involved with the IDB, we have the DMZ on board, and we are talking to a number of other partners and opening the door to others who want to be involved. I see questions that are asking where and when. So we actually go live next year. We signed our agreement with the IDB earlier this year. Some of you may have seen the announcement there. And now we're in the stage of building out the program alongside the DMZ, pulling on partners, and going live next year. So this is not a rushed discussion. This is not, you know, hey, tomorrow, you know, we're open and we're asking for companies to get involved and all this kind of stuff. There will be a call for applications that will be shared far and wide. We're going to undergo a heavy marketing program to get that word out, right? The islands that are currently involved, we are very open to expanding. I see questions coming about Martinique, which is one of the places that we were actually supposed to end up with TechBeach next year as a conference. You know, the pandemic has its obvious effects, but we hope to be there soon enough. But to start, we're in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and the Bahamas. Like I said, we are open to going beyond. The DMZ is open to going beyond, right? So that's a discussion that is ready to be had. What I would encourage, because this is how we're thinking about it, is anyone who wants to participate in this, you know, this is about regional collaboration. So if you're not from one of those islands, but you feel like this could be beneficial to you, then your gateway would be partnership with somebody from one of those islands. And that to me would be the game changer that makes the region everything that we have envisioned. Kyle and I have always operated as somewhat of a distributed team. When you talk about the future of work, I believe we're it. He lives in Trinidad where he's currently trapped, and I'm from Jamaica, currently in Barbados, and everything you've heard today has always been built in this light. We've always been a virtual co-founder team, and we work with people in all the different islands and then in North America and such like that. You know, it's not very often that we're able to be in the same rooms, except when we're actually having the conferences, right? To give one more piece to the breakdown, the way this is starting is that we have 8-week programs in each island for startups. And then we have 4-week programs that are fitted into those 8 weeks, right in the middle, for the corporates and government. The idea is that we're creating an intersection between corporates and government officials to then interact with the startups, right? One of the things that the DMZ is best known for is startup enterprise collaboration. which is something that we believe is the future of tech in the Caribbean. When Kyle and I started TechBeach, the vision or the thought was we were going to be flooded with all of these startups wanting to come to Jamaica and participate in the conferences and such like that. And not taking away from those who have participated, where we were surprised is the level of corporate participation that we started to get, right? Right in line with this idea that we're going down this road of, because what we found was all the financial institutions in the region started reaching out and wanted to be a part of this. So one of the things we said to the IDB in getting the program going was that the best path to success for a startup, even though we look at the sexy, consumer brands, the Ubers, the Amazons, and everybody wants to create and emulate these organizations, the best path to success is actually through enterprise. Because here's the reality. Enterprises have capital, right? Enterprises are looking to make a shift, and enterprises can help organizations to scale. And one of the things that we miss out on in the sexy stories of large Fortune 500, consumer-focused tech brands is their enterprise focus and division, right? Where not necessarily all the money comes from or the bulk of it, but where the sustainable revenue comes from. So we're very, very focused on this idea of corporate startup partnership. We're very focused on providing the resources that Abdullah pointed to in the hundreds of thousands of dollars as a means of somewhat investment substitution based on where the ecosystem is at the moment, but with the expectation that these resources help people to build much more robust products that then investors obviously can get excited about and partner with, right? So that is my response to a group of questions that I see in the chat, just to give some clarity to everyone. Donnelly, if there are more questions, that you want to feed off to us, then great. And if not, I mean, we can share some more.
Yeah, one question I see that people
okay, go ahead.
have asked a couple of times is on the process. Yeah, so the process for applying and being a part of the program will be announced in January. We're currently, as Kirk mentioned, this is more about announcing that it's coming, announcing what we're going to do, and fielding questions from various stakeholders in a public format setting, because we've had a lot of insular sort of engagement, and so now we're out here fielding questions from everyone and seeing what the uptake in the market is like and what sort of thoughts they have. And so you'll be first to know as soon as we launch in terms of getting people to apply and what the selection criteria is for various applicants. And so that question, that process is specifically around the technology-enabled companies. But I want to continue to drive home the point of what Kirk has highlighted in terms of we've all as well developed programs specifically for corporates, helping them to understand where they play within the startup ecosystem and driving innovation regionally, because a lot of them are asking these questions. A lot of them have launched programs to support SMEs. And so we as well are now partnering with them to make their own programs for supporting SMEs a bit more robust. And so we definitely have focus along multiple of those segments. Another one being young professionals. And so we have a partnership that we're in the process of finalizing right now in terms of helping professionals upskill and take on new skills, and then close the loop for them in terms of pipeline for some of the best technology companies globally, which is really unique from the perspective that that when you have skills here within the region, you kind of just generally look for jobs here within the region. What we're doing is to open up the entire marketplace as you begin seeing a lot of these technology companies making work from home permanent. Companies like Twitter, Google, Microsoft are making certain divisions and certain departments of the companies permanently work from home. And so that brings a super unique opportunity for us in the region, whereby for the first time you can get hired from these companies and still work here. And that's something that we're working on to close the loop in terms of opportunity for us here in the region. And as we know, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a massive thing for a lot of these American companies. And they're seeing a partnership with TBR Lab, with TechBeach, as a direct pipeline into the Caribbean. Because one thing that isn't known very well publicly and widely is that Caribbean people actually make up 1 in 2 foreign-born Americans, and then the next half is from Africa. But the Caribbean represents a pretty large stake across, sits very, very strong stake across many, many technology companies around the world. And what we've been able to do uniquely is tap into a lot of these Caribbean diaspora people. And the leadership of these companies recognize that, yes, a lot of their leadership comes from the region. And so they haven't had an opportunity to sort of like coalesce a partnership that would give them access into the region in this way. And TBR Lab forms that, becomes that bridge for the first time, you know? And so celebrating the fact that we have our first Jamaican in the White House, you know, that's amazing. And not only that, we have Caribbean people being represented across so many industries, and not only technology. And this partnership with some of these companies around technology is our first bridge. We're so intent on building so many more bridges that would see so many more of us from the region being able to step out there, and seeing more people from out there being able to step in. Because we know that people are so eager and so excited about those partnerships. And not only about the Caribbean, we're working as well on building those bridges to Pan-Africa as well. And so we're just excited about this being the first step in our mission to really begin building those connections globally.
Wonderful. And I'm going to address a question that I see in the chat, another question, but really quick, because I would be remiss, and I spoke to her this morning and I feel like she tricked me, but we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for someone who is, I believe, still in the room, Terry-Ann Segri from the IDB in Jamaica. Terry-Ann is with IDB Lab operating out of Jamaica. Everything you're seeing or hearing about has been a working process since January of last year. You know, documents after documents after documents have had to go into this for us to get into this stage. And Terry-Ann really has held it with us to get us here, alongside Vashti, who is based in Trinidad, also from the IDB Lab team. The question that was asked, and I want to give some insight into how we think, right? The question related to this dynamic of the global side kind of versus the local side, and I guess our perspective or how we view things, right? From day one, Kyle and I have said to people, you know, let's not make a mistake. The reality of where the Caribbean is when it comes to tech and this digital space is that we lack an ecosystem, right? It really just wasn't there when we started out on this vision. And as much as we like to feel like we've contributed, and as much as we give full credit to many of our partners over the years, the JAMPROs, the DBJs, the IDB, World Bank, CDB, etc. The fact of the matter is that we still have a ways to go. That being said, TechBeach was built on a foundation or a platform of the acceptance that there's significant talent in the Caribbean. And we are, you know, that idea is not lost on us. I mean, Kyle and I get to work every day on doing this kind of stuff on the simple basis that we're passionate. We believe in our people. We believe that, you know, more is possible, right? As I say in Jamaica, better must come. But we believe firmly in the potential of the Caribbean from a startup level and a corporate level. So we get on the phones every day, talking to people representing organizations around the world, selling them on the idea that, you know, there are talented startups in the region. We have stock exchanges that offer liquidity for investment. We have large corporates that are, you know, flush with cash, looking to transform digitally. And, you know, we have a consumer space that you could benefit from, where the most important message that we sell to everyone is, you can't come here and do it alone, right? So the entire concept is, you have to look at the Caribbean from the perspective of, we have great people, high quality organizations. So if you're looking into this market, then you must partner with either us or someone else who is here. But let's not deny, there are certain companies that make the foundation of what we're talking about when we talk about tech. You don't build Google overnight. You don't build AWS overnight. So it's important that we invite these organizations to the table. It's important that we're able to collaborate with them. But I just want to be clear again that when we have these dialogues, there are people who we've spoken to who are looking to, let's say, speak at a TechBeach. And when the temperament is that of, okay, great, I'll come down and I'll teach the locals some things and, get to hang out on the beach, we tend to tell those people, you know what, don't bother. Because what we're looking for are people like Abdullah, people like Femi, people ultimately like Irene, etc., who despite the seat that they may hold, they have a lens that says, just like Jeff pointed to, right? It's intelligence versus opportunity. These are people as well, and they're organizations in the Caribbean, as we tell some of these folks, that are by ratio actually way more profitable than many North American entities by any standard, right? So despite the fact that they may not have the multiple billions when it comes to scale, they are in the $1 billion category, and they're, they make money. We could almost say they mint money in some instances. And I just wanted to address that one, because we don't ever want it to be lost that this is just about, bringing in players from around the world and having them add the value. What you see inside TechBeach is Caribbean people teaching, executives at Google about Bitcoin and blockchain technology and these kind of things. It's a very interesting dynamic. You have people, who run business intelligence businesses like Laren, who does Blue Dot Insights, right? You've heard the name mentioned a couple of times today. Sharing with people how to go about, data and intelligence. So I just wanted to address that as well, because it was a big question in the chat that I thought was quite interesting. Donnelly?
Yes. Well, guess what? We've definitely come to the closing, but I do want you to share with everyone before we log off. Tell us website, social media handles, just to make sure everybody knows how to keep in contact and how to follow what's happening. That's you, Kirk.
Yes, so all information about what we're talking about is, first of all, on techbeach.net. There is a tab focused on TBR Lab that you can click on, and you can sign up for updates and details. Some people here are already in our newsletter, and so they continue to receive information from us in that regard. In addition to that, there are social platforms, right? So we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're at TechBeach Retreat, and we are constantly updating those as well with information. So you can look to those. As we pointed to, this is an early launch to invite in interest into what we're doing and let everybody know what we're all about. But this is going to be a very public endeavor, right? We want the word out. We have media partnerships that we'll be sharing on various people involved every week, basically, in different markets, right? And those avenues that I just mentioned. But just keep an eye on techbeach.net as the kind of the conduit of information that has everything that you need to know about what we're doing, and will be constantly updated as we go through this process.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you again to all the speakers that joined us today. And of course, to our partners, IDB and DMZ, we cannot do this without you. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank everybody that tuned in. I was looking at the numbers. Majority of you stayed the whole time. We are so appreciative. We value your time. So with that said, we're also ending on time. So have a good day, and we'll see you online.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Donnelly.
Thanks.